Welcome back for another week of Daily Fantasy Golf. I'm Chris Jarrell and I'm here for Daily Fantasy Sports Rankings, or DFSR.com for short. In this video I'm going to go over some of my other favorite picks that I didn't go over in the article for this week in DFS for the Memorial. And I'm going to be using my cheat sheet that I provide through my article. So let's get started here. I'm going to start at DFSR.com. We're going to navigate and find my weekly article and open that up. Before jumping into the cheat sheet, we're just going to have a look at the course here. We got Muirfield Village Golf Club in Dublin, Ohio. It's a par 72, 7,392 yards. One thing to notice is there is 7 par 4s that are greater than 447 yards, and all par 3s are between 100 and I believe 184 and 201 yards. So we're going to be looking closely. Some of my stats here that I highlighted are strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained approach, greens in regulation from that 175 to 200 yard range, par 4 scoring and bogey avoidance, because I don't think that's where a lot of the players are going to make up most of their scores. We're going to find that in par 5 birdie or better percentage, which I'm going to use because there has been at least 36 eagles in each of the last 3 years that I was looking at in the cheat sheet. Speaking of the cheat sheet, we're going to jump right into that. To open that up, you can click on this picture of the cheat sheet here. It's going to open a tab, and for you to build your own models and sort any of these columns, make any changes, stuff like that, what you're going to want to do is go up to File, make a copy, name it whatever you want, click OK. It's going to open another tab just like the one that you see here. This is mine. I've highlighted some players. So first off, the players in green, those are the players that I talked about in my article. If you want to read more about them, just head over to dfsr.com like I said, and you can jump right in here. I go course history, current form, and so forth. The guys in blue are the course history guys I'm going to talk about in the video. The guys in purple are going to be the current form guys that I talk about in the video, and then you'll also see some gray down in the bottom, and those are some of the DK to Vegas odds guys that stand out in the cheat sheet as well that we're going to talk about this week. If you are new to the cheat sheet, the stats that you see here in green, these are the raw stats, and they are 90% 2017 current stats and 10% weighted on 2016 stats as well. And if you slide over to the right, the first thing that we're going to look at, the next column is going to be course history in blue. So we're going to sort the course history by lowest. Just have a look at some of the guys that stand out. As you can see, Tony Finau, Byung-Hun An, and Matt Kuchar I talked about in the article. Some other guys that stand out, Emiliano Grillo, T11 here last year. He's coming in with some not bad form here, as you can see as well. He also ranks up there in the top 30 in the strokes gained statistics. And another thing that I noticed with him this week, scrolling over here, other than Dustin Johnson, he is the only player to rank inside the top 20 in stats, history, and form on my cheat sheet this week. Patrick Reed also stands out. His ownership, just kind of going over here to Fanshare Sports, we're just going to do a search for Reed. So he's T16, so he's fallen outside the top 10 right now, so I think he makes a not bad value. I think his ownership is probably going to fall outside that top 10 as well, just because the current form, it's coming around top 20s. He's finished well here in the past, so I think he makes a good play this week. Adam Scott's played here. He hasn't played here in 2 years, but 4th and 13th his last 2 trips. He's got 2 top 10s in his last 3 tournaments. Of course, he always fits in the stats model, so he's definitely going to make a good play. And then Charles Schwartzel was the other one that stands out. He had a he withdrew after making the cut at the Byron Nelson with a wrist injury, but it looks like things are going to be fine. I don't think he'd be playing if it was going to bother him, but there is a risk there, so definitely GPP only with Schwartzel, which could bring some low ownership. And that course history is off the charts with 4 top 20s and 2 top 10s in his last 5 trips here, so I think he's one that we can look at this week as well. Moving along to current form. Let's sort that by lowest next. Look at a few guys there. Just talked about Dustin Johnson, Kevin Tway, John Rahm. In the article, Bud Cauley really stands out. He's 5th overall in the rankings. T41 is a little disappointing last week, so some people might jump off. Myself, I'll be staying on board because he had 4 top 10s coming into last week. Could be getting a little tired, but still, if people are going to be jumping off, jumping back over here to fan share, yeah, he's right there with Patrick Reed, almost identical numbers, so he's a little bit cheaper, so he could be a little bit higher owned, but it's tough to say. T41 burned a lot of people last week. Patrick Cantley shows up. He's 61 mainly because he hasn't played here, so he automatically gets that 125 ranking in course history, so that throws things off a little bit this week. He probably should rank, I would say, in probably the top 30, top 40. His form has been excellent since coming back on tour this year. He didn't have stats to qualify, but he's right there, so he's another guy I'll be looking at. And then some guys in the sub 7K range. We're going to talk about a few more of them in a bit, but current form guys that really stand out. Nick Taylor, 61 last week, so it was a little disappointing, but top 10s in the 2 weeks before that and top 25s the 2 weeks before that, so he stands out there. And then looking at his DK to odds differential, he's 105th in DraftKings salary and 62nd in odds rank, so you get a plus 43 there for him. The guy that I'm really liking for GPP this week is going to be Peter Uihlein. He's an American playing on the mostly right over on the European tour. He has not played here before, so he kind of gets a bump down in the overall rankings. But his form has been excellent, leading. He's played twice on the PGA Tour this year. He's finished T23 at the Shell and T5 at the Puerto Rico Open. As you see, 4 rounds under 70, so that was pretty impressive. And since then, on the European Tour, we can see the Shenzhen International T33, Volvo China T31, T30 at the PGA. So he's been pretty consistent for a golfer under 7K. I think he makes a lot of sense as well this week. A couple other guys that stand out in the DK dollar to odds differential on the cheat sheet. I'm going sort by highest to lowest here. Right at the top, we got Kevin Tway. Talked about him in the article, and then right below him, 3 other values I really like. Billy Horschel at 6,700 these prices just don't seem right at all to me this week. So that's a lot of these values under 7K. There's probably 5 to 10 of them that you can make a good case for using this week. It's going to force a lot of people, I think, to use a stars and scrubs lineup, tons of stars and scrubs. So there's definitely value in maybe building some balanced lineups to be a little bit contrarian this week. And there's definitely some guys, around these guys who are going to make some GPP pivot values as well. But we're going to look at a few guys that stand out in the value. So Billy Horschel, I mentioned, his last 2 trips here were top 15s. He won 2 tournaments ago, T34 last week, so I think he can jump back on board at 6,700. You're not having to invest a whole lot. Brendan Steele, he ranks way up there in all the categories you're looking at from a stats perspective. Sorry about that. 11th in strokes gained tee to green, 14th in approach, 13th in around the green. So his putting is really the only thing that kind of gets him down, but still 56 in strokes gained putting is not bad when we're talking 200 plus players. So at 6,700 again, you're not having to invest a lot, and putting 2 of these guys or even 3 of these guys under $7,000 together gets you 2-3 high-end names as well. So Russell Knox is right near minimum price this week. Doesn't seem right at all. He's had spotty success here at Muirfield, but top 22 years ago, so he has had success here. So he's also, his current form's a little bit up and down, but as you can see, he's kind of been week off, week on, week off, week on. So maybe that trend keeps going. He'd be more of a deep GPP for me just because of that current form and spotty success, but I think he makes a lot of sense here as well. One thing I didn't mention with Brendan Steele, he did finish T20 here last year as well after a few years of some spotty, so I think we can definitely lean on him this week as well. Then of course we'll go over and we're just going to sort the stats guys, have a look at a couple other stats guys that stand out here. Jordan Spieth's always up there in the stats. His strokes gained approach is the one thing I really like this week. Yeah, he's first overall there. He's second in par 5 birdie or better percentage, 5th in par 4, so he definitely makes sense. A couple guys we're actually going to look at from the GIR 175 to 200 range. So you got Roberto Castro, but his form's been gross. That's why he's 6,800, 4,800 on FanDuel this week. Jim Herman, defending champion McGirt, and one thing I noticed about McGirt here this morning, For defending champ, he sure hasn't been mentioned a whole lot. T58 3 times, twice for a start, so he's definitely a guy. We talked about Peter Uihlein. He's only been tagged 5 times on Fanshare Sports and 4 times for a start, so he's right there. A guy I was also considering was Jamie Lovemark, and he's 6 for 6 here, tagged 6 times, and they've all been to start, so I think he might make a good GPP play as well. As always, if you have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9. And I will also be in the chat room for most of today over at dfsr.com, and pretty much any page you come to, log in, go to the public chat room, and pop up the window, and you'll see me if I'm in there right up at the top. Right now it's black. I'm away as we're doing the video, but it'll be green. You'll see me there, and you can also click on that and do a private message if there's a lot of baseball talk and stuff going on. You want to get a more direct answer from me, definitely do that. Thanks, guys, and good luck this week, and we'll see some green screens.